Hey everybody, this is Carson from Top & Go Productions, and thanks for watching another episode of The Other 99. Today we are going to be taking a look at a powerful commander deck that abuses the graveyard for fun and profit. Infamous Mage's green-black Varolz the Scar-Striped commander deck is fast and can produce game-ending threats as early as turn 3, but also contains other paths to victory in case Varolz gets the tuck. Varolz is a fantastic Golgari commander from Dragon's Maze with two very powerful abilities. His first and most important ability is he will give every creature card in the graveyard Scavenge, while his second ability allows him to sacrifice another creature to regenerate himself, keeping Varolz alive to bring the beats, while filling your graveyard with more potential Scavenge targets. The main objective for the deck, and the quickest path to victory, is to dump a few giant beaters with low converted mana cost into the yard, and then scavenge them onto Varolz as soon as possible. So who are we bringing to the yard? There are three main creatures you want to get into the yard as soon as possible. Phyrexian Dreadnought. For 1 mana, you get 12 counters, and it can find its own way into the graveyard. Death's Shadow. Also costs 1 mana, but you get 13 counters. Like its friend the Dreadnought, it also doesn't need any help finding its way to the grave. Brawn. Also needs to hit the yard as soon as possible, but not to be fodder for Varolz. Dumping Brawn into the yard won't give you a good scavenge target, but is the quickest and most effective way to give a big bad Varolz trample. This unholy trinity of beaters can turn Varolz into a one-shot wonder and make quick work of your opponents. For just 5 mana, you can cast Buried Alive, pitch these 3 friends into the graveyard, and use the 2 leftover mana to make Varolz a 27/27 trampling troll, who also, by the way, can regenerate. What's not to love? Manipulating both our own and our opponent's graveyards is critical with Varolz as a commander. The following spells are used to put guys in our own yard, use our opponent's graveyards against them, and then keep our living dead investments alive. Buried Alive, the card you are always happy to see when you're playing Varolz. Reanimate and Animate Dead, steal any creature in any graveyard for very little mana. Gerard's Orders. This card is awesome, powerful, and one of the most skill-intensive cards in the deck. Its versatility is unmatched. You can go find the last pieces of the Trinity combo, create a value engine, or simply go find what you need or what you anticipate that you will need. Treasured Find. Get back any card from your graveyard. Birthing Pod. Absolute house in a sack and reanimate deck. Enables utility in the deck and puts creatures in the yard for Varolz to scavenge. Dread Return. Reanimate spell with built-in card advantage. Deadbridge Chant. Makes all of your recursion and reanimate spells that much better. Sure, it sucks if your graveyard gets exiled, but that's a risk you take when you play graveyard-based decks. Lightning Greaves. Protects your dudes and makes Varolz hasty and hard to deal with. Varolz can get so big so fast, he always needs to be answered. With Shoes, he can knock out opponents before they can react. As cool as the first 3 creatures in the deck are, that can't be the whole team. Let's look at who else makes up the power of the other 99. Fauna Shaman. Repeatable creature tutor that puts other creatures into graveyard for reanimation and value. An absolute house in this deck. Fierce Empath. Tutor on a body for your fatty of choice. Wood Elves and Yavimaya Elder. Guys that get mana and value. Puppeteer Click. Opposing graveyard hate that reanimates for a turn. A key part of a 3-card combo with Birthing Pod plus Mikaeus the Unhallowed. Reassembling Skeleton. This little guy knows a thing or two about utility. It takes a little work to use him effectively, but he is incredibly synergistic with Varolz, Grave Pact, Skull Clamp, Birthing Pod, and Sadistic Hypnotist. It's the deck's only discard source, but it is brutal. Paired with recurring creatures, it can quickly eat your opponent's hands. Sakura Tribe Elder. Rampant growth with legs. Awesome with Grave Pact too. Scavenging Ooze. Opposing graveyard hate and life gain that can become very sizable. Oracle of Moldiah. Ramp and card advantage. It's great in this deck because this deck has so many shuffle effects. Acidic Slime. Versatile removal with a Death Touch body. A green staple for a reason. Disciple of Bolas. Gains life, draws cards, puts something in the graveyard, leaves behind a body. What's not to love? Eternal Witness. Sometimes you dump something in your graveyard that you really didn't want to, and this lady can get it back for you. Fleshbag Marauder. A cheap edict that is easy to tutor for, hits everyone, can be recurred, and has a good scavenging ratio for Varolz. Duraga Treespeaker. A second Soul Ring that is easier to tutor for and can regenerate Varolz in a pinch. Thrawn the Last Troll. A solid beater that's difficult for opponents to deal with, especially if you scavenge some big dudes to give him counters. Lotleth Troll. Lets you discard for early and or cheap reanimation. Regenerate is on theme, and he's a good alternate scavenge target since he already has trample. The aforementioned creatures are great in this deck and do great things for Varolz, but sometimes you just need some raw power. Avenger of Zendikar. Makes a ton of tokens that can beat down an opponent, draw lots of cards with Skull Clamp, or make the whole table sacrifice their hands with Sadistic Hypnotist. Bloodgift Demon. Phyrexian Arena with a great set of wings. Grave Titan. A sizable body that puts tons of power on the board. Gerard Golgari Lich Lord. This guy can kill the whole table at once as a sack outlet that can be recurred, and he can get pretty big himself. Kokusho the Evening Star. A flying beater that means a lot of life loss for your opponents and a lot of life gain for you. Under the right circumstances, he can take care of the whole table by himself for an alternate win condition, and Varolz can make sure that happens unhindered. Mikaeus the Unhallowed. Zombie Mikaeus makes all of your guys have Undying. If you have a sack outlet, you've got a one-way trip to Value Town. The only human creatures that don't jive with him in the deck are Sadistic Hypnotist and Eternal Witness. Combos insanely well with Puppeteer Click, Birthing Pod, and Kokusho. Sheoldred Whispering One. An auto-include for this type of graveyard recursion strategy. Reanimates, makes people sacrifice, has devotion for Erebos, and is easy to tutor for. Lord of the Void. Replace the recently banned Sylvan Primordial, since it's a good card with the same converted mana cost for Birthing Pod. With Varolz' low converted mana cost, this deck doesn't require much ramp, but what's green without at least a little ramp? Soul Ring and Rampant Growth. They can help you out very early game. Cultivate and Kodama's Reach. Two functional reprints that Commander players are always happy to have. One Volley Acid Moss. Utility land destruction and some ramp. Garruk Wildspeaker. It can ramp, make dudes, and win games with Overrun. Getting creatures to scavenge into your yard is easy once they are in hand, so let's add a little draw power to fill our grip. Skull Clamp. Effective draw power, especially with a sack outlet as a commander. Harmonize. An efficient green draw spell. Erebos, God of the Dead. Indestructible mana sink that draws cards. Garruk Primal Hunter. Makes dudes, draws cards, wins games. With a big Varolz on board, his minus ability is pure value. Momentous Fall. Often just an instant speed Harmonize off of a beast token, but can be insane when used in response to a Phyrexian Dreadnought sacrifice trigger. Phyrexian Arena. Solid black staple draw engine for a reasonable cost. Playing both black and green in the same deck gives you access to some of the best and most versatile removal in all of Magic. This Varolz deck features a sweeping suite of spot removal that can take care of any kind of permanent you encounter. Maelstrom Pulse. Destroys any non-land permanent and any permanent like them. Pretty solid against tokens. Damnation. The deck's only sweeper. Doesn't work well with Varolz, but every deck needs a reset button, even as a backup. With a style of build focusing so much on Varolz, most opponents won't see that they're playing into a Damnation. Vraska the Unseen. Removes permanents and is a must answer for opponents. Protects, destroys, and wins games. Abrupt Decay. Uncounterable answer to small utility permanents. Beast Within. Destroys any permanent with a very reasonable downside. Hero's Downfall. Instant speed murder plus an efficient answer to Planeswalkers. This is one of the best removal spells printed in recent sets and should be run in any deck that can support the double black mana cost. Crows and Grip. Yep, can't do anything about that. Putrefy. Instant speed creature and artifact removal. Grave Pact. It's board control that's especially effective with a sack outlet as a commander. This deck packs utility in spades, and adding some dedicated tutors to the mix makes this deck that much more reliable. Primal Command. Removal, graveyard manipulation, and creature tutor all rolled up into one awesome spell. Demonic Tutor, the classic. Besiege the Queen. Another tutor, but in many circles this one is considered to be more fair. Green Sun Zenith. Versatile tutor that can get anything from Fauna Shaman to Avenger of Zendikar. It can even fish out Varolz if he's been tucked. Liliana Vess. At worst, a 5-mana tutor. At best, she will grind out the game all by herself. And now for the lands of the deck. Inkmoth Nexus. Phyrexian Tower, Tectonic Edge, Ghost Quarter, Terramorphic Expanse, Temple of the False God, Winding Canyons, Bajuka Bog, Treetop Village, Volrath Stronghold, Shizo Death Storehouse, Command Tower, Golgari Guildgate, Golgari Rot Farm, Lana War Wastes, Overgrown Tomb, Tainted Wood, Twilight Mire, Verdant Catacombs, Woodland Cemetery, and 8 forests and 8 swamps. And now for the strengths and weaknesses of the deck. For its strengths. It has a highly synergistic strategy to give you a lot of options and powerful plays. With Varolz' regeneration ability, many of the more powerful effects this deck can produce can happen at instant speed. The deck is strong in both multiplayer and 1v1 formats, and the deck has multiple avenues to victory. Its weaknesses. Despite having alternate ways to win, if Varolz gets tucked, it will make things a lot more difficult for you. Mass exile or timely graveyard hate can really ruin your day. Big scary creatures and the speed at which the deck can win will focus the table on your side of the field. You might play this deck if you like synergistic strategies but want to avoid infinite combos. You like a versatile deck with multiple avenues to victory. You like playing Voltron but want access to a strong strategy if you don't have access to your commander. You enjoy sacrificing, reanimating, and recurring. Thanks to Infamous Mage for sharing his deck with us, and thank you for watching another episode of The Other 99. For next time, vote on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr for either Darien, King of Kieldor, Jin-Kataxis Core Augur, or a Zozu the Punisher 1v1 French legal deck. I'm Carson with Top Go Productions, and as always, thanks for watching.